All right, here we go. We are here live with, well, actually, it won't be live because we're recording it, but it's live now. And this is our second attempt of recording this. 2 weeks ago, we tried to record, the power went out, but Terry's a good sport. And we're re-recording now. So, Terry, just let's just jump in and let's just talk. Tell us a little bit about who you are, and then we'll move into the bluegrass and the website build shortly.
Sure thing. Well, glad to be here. Thanks for taking the time and inviting me on board. My name is Terry Hurd. I'm host of a radio show called Into the Blue here in Nashville. 34 years doing this thing, and we've got about 112 affiliates from coast to coast now. And I'm also the CEO of BluegrassToday.com. That's a news source where you can find all the news that you want, and probably some you don't. Radio airplay charts, upcoming events, all kinds of good stuff. So if you're a bluegrass fan, or you think you might want to be, or you know somebody who is, BluegrassToday.com will fill the bill for you. And Into the Blue on the Bluegrass Radio Network and WSM, the Grand Ole Opry station here, WSM AM 650. Every Sunday night from 9 to midnight, you can hear the very best in bluegrass from yours truly.
That is awesome. I did not realize that you had it every Sunday. So I think the last time we did this, I don't know if you said that. But that's cool. So, and you're what, 4 hours away? I'm based out of Atlanta, so we should probably get breakfast or dinner sometime.
Hey, I'm all about that. Yeah. Just any time you want to take me out to breakfast, I'm willing to let you pay. No problem.
Yeah, sounds good. So I did go up to Nashville a few years ago and went to the Ryman Auditorium, which is one that I'm a big fan of. Even though they don't know how to spell the name correctly, it's pronounced correctly. So that's good enough for me.
That's funny. They were saying the same thing about the way you spell your name.
I'm sure.
That's weird. Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about BluegrassToday.com, where the idea came from.
Well, I'll tell you, it was 15 years ago, maybe actually 16 years ago. I walked into the Apple Store in Cool Springs here at the Galleria. And Cool Springs, by the way, is officially Franklin. It's about 20 minutes south of Nashville. And having an Apple Store next to you, well, that's a wonderful thing. So, every chance I get, I like to walk in there and dream about what I'd like to be able to buy. But there was the very first iPad, at least the very first one I ever saw. And I thought, oh, I've heard all about this, and I went over and I picked it up, and it had a news app on it. I think it was CNN. Anyway, they got those things on a cable, so you can't just put them in your pocket and run away. And I picked it up, and I noticed it kind of jiggled, and I thought, well, what's this? And I oriented it horizontally, and the whole thing shifted. And I know that sounds really funny now, right? We're all so used to that, but that was...
Well, that was... Yeah,
big stuff.
That was cutting edge. Yeah, it's funny because like my kids have grown up with all of this technology, and they can't comprehend a day not having those type of things. But yes, those things were new at one point.
So there it was. Now I wasn't completely knocked out with the fact that I could get other news on it as I was with the idea that just completely hit me. I mean, this was one of those moments where space and time kind of stops and you're kind of floating and you see what can be in the future, and then bam, back to reality. And what I saw was a news app for bluegrass music, and this was the beginning of all of that. That was the moment of inspiration, the flash of inspiration, if you will. And so it took a little time to figure out how to do all this, but I knew at that moment in time that's something that we had to happen, that we had to get behind and make happen. And I had a vision at that very moment of somebody unwrapping an iPad under the Christmas tree on Christmas morning, opening it up. It opens with the Bluegrass Today app on it, and you've got all the news and everything you could ever want. You can watch videos, you can listen to music, you can see upcoming events, all the things that we take for granted these days. But that was a big thing. And so I went about trying to figure out how to do all that. Of course, it takes a good URL, and almost all of those are gone these days. And they were even back 16 years ago. But one morning over coffee, which is where many of my ideas come to fruition, the name Bluegrass Today came to me, and it's not hard to imagine where I got that name. I mean, there's a national newspaper called USA Today, so
Yep.
Bluegrass Today made sense, and I thought, what are the odds of that URL being here? Turns out there was a broadcaster in Florida who had quit the business about 2 weeks before and let the domains expire, and there they were, and I grabbed it, and I grabbed all the derivatives of it as well, everything, and I think I got $19.95. I got bluegrasstoday.com. Now it's worth a little more than that today, partly because of you and what we've been able to build together, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. But it's easy to remember, and I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, the USA Today just it makes sense. You don't have to explain the domain.
Yeah.
Like you read it and it's obvious what it is. And I think because of USA Today, it maybe it's just because I'm American and I know what USA Today is. It just kind of it seems to be a news site that just kind of like
right.
It's what just my brain processes it as, which makes sense. So you guys built the site, and tell us, did you when you started building it? So my agency Clockwork, we recently rebuilt the site, but let's talk about when you first started. You guys were using. Did you have ideas of what you were trying to build, or did you just need something?
Well, I didn't quite get into how I added my partner, so let me talk about that.
Yeah.
I've got a journalism background. That was my major in college, but I really didn't want to do all the writing. I was more into the marketing aspect of all of it, doing sales and that sort of stuff. And so I set about looking for somebody who could be the editor of the magazine. And one person stood out. I mean, there was really only one who was specializing in bluegrass music, and he had a little website already going called the Bluegrass Blog. His name is John Lawless. And I contacted John. We talked about the idea. Turns out he was in a transitional moment in his life and in his business, and the timing was right. And I presented my vision to him to take what he had as a blog and turn it into a true news site, make it all the more presentable and marketable. And so that's what we did. So he took over the editorial responsibilities. I took over everything else. And we spent about a year, that first year, not online, just building the concept and finding the people who could construct it for us. And we launched about a year later at the International Bluegrass Music Association's World of Bluegrass. And so that's coming up on 15 years this fall. And hey, we're still here, so we must be doing something right, or we're just too cranky to leave. Either way, but
right.
Somewhere along the line, it was a very different world building websites back in those days. I'm sure you know all that. But,
absolutely.
To shorten this conversation and journey, I don't want to bore anyone, but we ultimately found our way to you. And that was really the very best thing that has ever happened to us, technically speaking. We have absolutely loved working with you and your entire team, Aaron. And,
thank you.
Yeah, I don't want to get too praiseworthy here and make people think this is a paid endorsement.
Paid ad.
It's not. Okay. No,
Well,
I
I
bought this
actually- I
website
wanted-
with my own money. I really did.
Right. I wanted to wait. So we launched the site a few months ago, and I wanted to make sure that you really are like happy with everything. You
Yeah.
know, before we go and record this, I don't want to record this. A day after we launch, and then we have issues. We did have some issues with some traffic, some DNS things.
Right.
It seems to all be working now. But yes,
Yeah.
this is not a paid ad. So
Well, let me tell you, if you're going to build a website and you think it's just going to be a breeze, I don't care who builds it, ain't going to happen. They're just going to be challenges. I mean, things come along, things change, unexpected things occur. Like the first time we tried to do this interview, the power went out. I mean, I know you got the bill paid finally, or did you go on the payment plan? What? Yeah, either way,
payment plan. So,
he
yeah.
really needs your money, so buy a website from him. That's my endorsement right
I
there.
appreciate that. Thank you. So we're doing websites for $500, and no, just kidding.
Man,
So-
I missed that deal. I should
Yeah,
watch
yeah.
the coupons a little closer, I guess. Yeah. So to shorten all of that, you guys took over or inherited a website that was really a Frankenstein. I mean, of 14 plus years of things hacked together, and you were very professional in the way that you kept kind of subtly saying, guys,
You need to rebuild.
this may break to the point we can't ever fix it. We need to get serious about bringing you into the 21st century here, and you did, and
Yeah.
we're so glad we're here.
Well, good. Yeah, just so people know, it was. I mean, it was a pretty common thing when you build a WordPress site. It's going to be great for the first year, and then things start changing. They need to add some functionality, some features, things like that. But you wound up before we relaunched, you had a multi-site, which is can be a good thing. Most of the time, it's not a good idea to do a multi-site. But so you had a multi-site with some subdomains that we weren't really using, and then we also had 54 plugins on the site, which brings its own complexity in. But now it's a lot cleaner. I think we're using about 22, 23 plugins, which is still on the high end side, but this isn't just a marketing site. There's
Yeah.
comments, there's ways for people to interact and log in and do interaction. And you also tell us a little bit about, I know you have the feed that you guys, that we always make sure is working, that I took down when we launched accidentally. So, but tell us a little bit about the feed, the
RSS feed?
RSS feed. So,
Yeah. So that RSS feed serves a number of different purposes. A lot of that I simply don't understand. I'm not a technical guy. Come on, I just show up and try to get a paycheck.
you just write
But-
hit songs is what you do. So, which is
Well,
good.
I like to try. Let's put it that way.
try.
I've had a few. I did win a Grammy,
I know.
so something went right there somewhere in my life.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
yeah, this RSS feed, for one thing, it feeds my website, which I'm going to just preface right now, is not the greatest website. It's an old clunky thing. That's not Aaron's fault. I haven't had them rebuild anything yet. It's kind of a utilitarian site for the Bluegrass Radio Network, and it's bluegrassradio.com. But it feeds stories from Bluegrass Today and ads and those kinds of things, so I don't have to populate it over there. Whatever we put on bluegrasstoday.com, it automatically feeds over to Bluegrass Radio, and I love that. It makes everything automatic. So yeah, and then the RSS feed goes out, through these different sources, Feed Grabber or whatever it is, and
Yep.
People that subscribe to that can get highlight stories that are populated throughout the day, and keeps everybody coming to the website, and that's kind of the important thing.
Yeah. And speaking of traffic for you guys is really, I guess I should say y'all. For
Yeah,
I
y'all.
can't say you guys.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I got made fun of a long time ago from some friends in California that I was saying y'all, and I started saying you guys. But now
Yeah,
I'm trying to.
I'm from the Pacific Northwest, so I'm a you guys kind of a guy. But I can
Okay.
listen to the y'all thing. I know what
Yeah,
that
I mean,
means.
I grew up in Georgia, so I should say y'all. But y'all have y'all get a decent amount of traffic too, which is
Yeah.
surprising. I mean, we host in total about 250 sites, and you guys get more traffic than well. We do stuff for the Georgia Department of Education, which probably peaks at or is a little more, but you guys are number one or number two in traffic. I mean, looked at it yesterday. You shot me an email asking about something, and I looked at the traffic, and in the past 30 days, you've gotten 1.23 million viewers. So that's not like page loads. That's like
Yeah.
a user's session, which is pretty impressive. Do you guys, do y'all know where the majority of your traffic comes from? I mean, do you guys, is it, I'm assuming majority US, but is a
It
lot of
is.
it from the Southeast, or is it just everywhere in the US?
Well, it's funny. It's yes, U.S. primarily. I think in the mid to high 90s. Bluegrass, of course, is an international uh, genre, like most
Like
music
most of
genres
them, yeah.
are. There are no borders to stop it, but most people tend to click in here from the U.S. And I will tell you, there's a beltway of bluegrass fans, and it's kind of quarter moon shaped, and it runs from around Delaware, Maryland, all the way, Virginia, all the way down through North Carolina, Tennessee, and all the way down into Texas. And
Okay.
and and there's quite a few bluegrass fans in California as well. But that's where the bulk of our visitors are from. It seems to be somewhat of a geographic kind of music, and that stands to reason because the early first generation creators of this music came from North Carolina. They came from Virginia. They came from Tennessee. And so those are where the masses came. And of course, the Grand Ole Opry here in Tennessee, Bill Monroe, born in Kentucky, moved to Tennessee so he could be on the stage of the Opry without traveling every week. And that this was a center, this was a hub of activity for that music. And I moved here for that very reason in 1996. I launched my radio show in 92, brought it all to Nashville in 96, and that was the right thing to do because most everybody's here, the
Yeah,
the main
that makes
players. And
sense.
if they don't live here, they travel here a lot.
Right. I mean, it makes perfect sense, and it kind of makes sense to me. Like this, I think of, I don't know, I'm not an expert in bluegrass or country music, but I would is bluegrass considered a shoot off or a branch of just country in general?
Well, it depends on who
Or
you ask. Bluegrass
okay,
fans would say, not just no, but hell no. It's pure,
okay, okay,
But you know what? Every form of music comes from
comes from
somewhere else.
something,
It
right?
wasn't just miraculously born all of its own. It's got mixes of Celtic, it's got country, it's got blues, it's got all kinds of different music mixed into it. And to to maybe put an asterisk on this, nobody has really come up with a real definition of what bluegrass music is yet. I was on the marketing committee of the International Bluegrass Music Association for 5 years, and I put together a blue ribbon panel. And I mean, I had folks on there from Di Van Mullen Lawrence, one of the top marketing firms in the country. I had the guy who created the Great American Music Shop for the Nashville Network. I mean, I had super brains. I had the top guy at Billboard And we couldn't come up with a definition for it. And so we just left it, because every time we tried to pigeonhole it or describe it, somebody complained. And we just thought, well, okay, everybody can have a definition of their own. But to me, you know it when you hear it. Especially somebody that's been in it as long as I have. And I asked the king of bluegrass one time, a guy named Jimmy Martin, what his definition of bluegrass was. I thought, well, hey, I can't do it. Maybe this guy can. And he said, it's what I did. So
Nice.
there it
Okay.
is. Yeah.
That works. Yeah, I'm not. I have one band that I describe as gothic bluegrass.
Ooh, okay.
Called 16 horsepower. It's I mean, they play the banjo, upright bass. I mean, and it has a totally different sound than any other band out there. But I'm like, I don't really know how to define bluegrass, so I might be misgenring this completely. But whatever, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I get it. So
Well, it's all good, because those kinds of artists, bands, music ultimately lead people to bluegrass music. You know, the important thing is that we're here with our arms open to welcome them and introduce them to this acoustic camp, if you will. So we try.
Yep.
And you've
Sure.
been a big help in building a website that we're very proud of, and that is a flagship and a rallying point for fans and artists and professionals in bluegrass music to visit multiple times a day. And you just verified that with the traffic numbers you talked about. And that was one of the key points that I brought up with your team, that we just want this to look really professional, because it's not just a reflection on who we are, and we take that very seriously too. We take
Bluegrass
our
in general.
responsibility serious in the business. We don't take ourselves that seriously, but we're handling something that involves people's livelihoods and lives and history, and so we want to be respectful about that. And that was our number one goal. And we really didn't give your team many parameters to build it. It needs to be functional. It needs to do these things, and it needs to look good.
Right.
So
and it really does. The team did a really good job.
They did.
What's amazing to me is that we went from a very white background site
Yep.
to what we call dark mode.
Yeah.
And it was funny how we kind of came to that conclusion that I didn't think you guys would like a dark mode, to be honest. But when we presented it, it wound up being the one that won. And I think it looks great. It looks a lot more sleek and just up to date.
Yeah,
It's
what
nice.
you didn't hear in that conversation was before that meeting, Lawless was telling me, I don't think this dark mode's a good idea. I'm not going to like it, blah, blah, blah. He's real negative about it. And I said, just bear with it, I'm seeing a lot of dark mode stuff that looks really powerful and clean. And we've seen this white stuff for so long. I'm an old guy now. I get ocular migraine sometimes. These bright screens and everything blow your eyes out.
My whole desktop is dark mode. I mean,
Yeah.
I hate the bright
Yeah.
constant white
I'm up
background.
at 4 a.m. and a bright screen. That's just, that's like decaf in the morning. That doesn't work for me. So anyway, the minute you guys put that up on the screen, it was hilarious. I was watching it with one eye, and I was watching Lawless with the other on the Zoom meeting, and he just went, wow.
Okay,
He
that's
was
awesome.
sold. I mean, it was under 2 seconds. It was a done deal. And the comment he made almost immediately is, how soon can we get this up and running? I mean, which I
Right.
think was the second meeting. It was like, John, these things take a little time. But he said, man, I love that so much, and I hate what we have now so much. He says, I don't think I can go back to work on the one we have. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I get it. I mean, it you had pretty much the same look and feel for about a decade or so.
Yeah,
So
we
I'm
did.
sure change is always important. and then also it's a lot more mobile friendly than it was before. Not that it
Yeah.
wasn't, it's just it works a lot better. Just
Well, you're
the
being too
tools
kind.
have
It
developed.
wasn't. It was not at all.
Well, yeah, fair
I'll
enough.
just back
Fair
you
enough.
up on that. It was workable, but barely. Let's put it that
Yeah.
way. Yeah. And of course, now when we launched 15 years ago, I think 7 or 8% of our viewership was on mobile. Now it's up in the 80s. So
Which is wild to me.
yeah.
I personally don't do a lot on my phone. My wife is always doing everything on the phone, and I'm like, can we just please do it on a like? She's like, I can't figure out how to do this drop down or whatever, and I'm like, can we just please do it on a computer? But I'm just old school. I don't like to do everything on my phone.
Right.
But I get it. If the traffic pivots, you need to be able to, offer what they need. So,
Well, the fact of the matter is, everybody has a smartphone now. So
yep,
everybody has Bluegrass Today with them wherever they go. And when you stop and think about that, that's incredible. I mean, wow, that's power.
yep,
All you got to do
yep,
is get them to the website and then keep them there as long as possible, or bring them back as many times as you can. And so that's what we do, and it's working so much better since this rebuild. It's impressive.
that's awesome. Well, thank you for your time. This second try, worked out. We still have power, so I'm happy. So, anything else you wanna add
Yeah,
to the?
yeah, there
Oh,
is.
okay, go
I
for it.
I want to tell anybody who's thinking about doing this uh, to just talk with Aaron and let him tell you what the process is. It's scary, at first, because you're going to give up something you're familiar with. You're going to have to learn something new. That's never an easy step. But if you need a new website, you probably actually need it more than you think you do, because there's something in our brains that tells us just put it off as long as possible. But these guys made this unbelievably easy for us. Now,
Thank you.
I should say it wasn't all easy. We had to do our homework as well. But we did our homework, and we delivered our homework mostly on time, I think. And
You
that
did.
helped them progress. Aaron has a lot of wonderful people working for him, handpicked, and you'll see what I'm talking about. When you walk in a store and all the people who work there are smiling, that tells you something. If you walk in a store and people are looking at the ground and kind of don't acknowledge you and frown, that tells you something too. These folks are engaged. Their eyes are open, they're bright, they're excited. And it was just an absolute pleasure to work with them, because they weren't trying to force us into something we didn't want. They were trying to guide us through the process of making the very best thing we could. And that's the next point I want to bring out. Don't tell them everything you want them to do. If you want something great and creative, let some creative minds help you. Don't walk in with a pre-carved plaque and say, I want exactly that. Okay, there are times when you have to do that. But if you're looking for inventive, creative concepts and something really superb, these are trained professionals. I spent over a decade as a graphic designer. I owned a print shop, and I'll never own another one as long
Know
as I
that?
live. Okay? It was the best thing I ever did, getting rid of that thing. But I'll tell you what, I learned a lot about graphic design, and just letting these guys do their job. It was just beautiful to see what they did. So I have full confidence. I can give you my wholehearted endorsement, which is not an easy thing to win.
That's awesome.
And
Well, thank you.
even at $15,
Right.
I'm kind of tight with an endorsement, but I'll tell you, these guys earned it, and you'll love working with them. I know you will.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Terry. I appreciate it.
All right, Aaron, thank you for all you've done, and will continue to do. All right,
All right.
all right.
Sounds
Now go
good.
get that power bill paid up. Okay.
Yeah, seriously. So sorry about that.
All right,
See ya.
brother. Take care.